actually, I'd quite like to pick up on something that Allegra mentioned, which was a tweet from Brendan Cox, the widower of your former colleague Joe Cox.
So this interview starts with a question about a tweet that was tweeted out by a dead former colleague's husband. And I'm only left with one question. When did Twitter get this legitimate in the eyes of the media? Or are they just using mean tweets to get the conversation going?
He said, in effect, the issues here are the injustices related to this disaster we've witnessed. And he said it's time to lay off the Prime Minister.
So, some guy somewhere tweeted that the Prime Minister should be fired. Any thoughts? So, I went to his Twitter to see what he's all about, and here's what I found. His wife, Helene Joanne Cox, was shot and stabbed to death by a 52-year-old man who called her a collaborator and a traitor to white people for being a passionate defender of the European Union and immigration. So now her husband spends most of his days promoting a charity or something that promotes togetherness.
Look, the issue has to be what the people of Grenfell Tower are going through and what the people of North Kensington are going through at the present time.
They're going through ash. Lots and lots of ash, trying to find the remainder of their lives.
A disaster happened. A very large number of people lost their lives.
Can I just ask you, a lot of people say she doesn't care. Do you believe she doesn't care?
I think everybody cares to an extent. Some to a deeper extent, and some show empathy in a different way to others. But the real issue is not about what we as individuals feel, Theresa May, me, anybody else. It's what those people are going through. And because it's unimaginable that you watch people burnt to death through the windows of a flat because they can't get out. And then you have a very large number of people looking for somewhere to live now because the Royal Borough of Kensington Chelsea doesn't have the capacity to deal with the crisis.
Uh-oh, I see where this is going. We don't have the money for this. Let's raise taxes.
Put it another way. Every day at Heathrow, planes get delayed. Hundreds of people get stranded. Airports all over the world. Hotels are found for them immediately. They're sorted out. 400 or so people. Still, most of them have not got somewhere decent or safe or secure to stay in.
Holy fuck. I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now that it hurts. I hate this conflation so fucking much. Okay, so one is a for-profit business that needs customer satisfaction to succeed. And the other is a virtue signaling organization that lets you take your money and show very little for it, outside of coming on television to tell you that they need more of your fucking money.
Somehow or other it seems to be beyond the wit of the public services to deal with the crisis facing a relatively small number of people in a country of 65 million. Let's look at it.
But you made a statement that some people think was controversial, which is that the vacant properties in the area should be appropriated. How would that work in practice?
Wait, what? He wants to take away people's personal property? So the government fucks up, burns people alive, and to help the remaining people, they want to take away your personal property?
I don't think it's very controversial at all.
Some thought it was controversial.
Well, some people. I'm not.
You don't think it's controversial at all? Great. How many of your houses are you giving away? Actually, the better question was, how is this going to work? Are you just going to give the houses away? Are you just going to reappropriate them? Are you going to buy them? What is the deal here? I want to know why it's not controversial to you.
Blaming you for that. There are a large number of deliberately kept vacant flats and properties all over London. It's called land banking. People with a lot of money buy a house, buy a flat, keep it empty.
Oh, don't worry. It's just people with a lot of money. They can afford to have their money taken away from them. So then they can come live in government housing, and we can burn them alive too.
You would seize it forever, or just take it for as long as they're needed? I'm just looking at the mechanism.
Occupy it, compulsory purchase it, requisition it. There's a lot of things you can do. But can't we as a society just think, all of us?
Just remember what communism does, guys. When we think all of us, then we take everyone's money and give it to the government for them to burn you alive or starve you to death. Just think all of us could be dead tomorrow. Just think all of us could be ruled by one central system. All of us can have all of our money completely wasted in government bureaucracies. Just remember, all of us will suffer together equally.
It's all very well putting our arms around people during the crisis. But homelessness is rising, the housing crisis is getting worse. And my point was quite a simple one. In an emergency, you have to bring all assets to the table in order to deal with that crisis. And
he literally said things are getting worse. People are getting poorer. More people are becoming homeless. So his solution is to make more people poorer and more people homeless. To stick into a system that already doesn't fucking work. Where do we get these politicians from?
as I'm sure any decent councillor
But
would.
why didn't she stop this form of cladding being used?
I don't know what information was put before that board about the safety or otherwise of that cladding. The cladding is only one part of the problem. It is a major part, possibly, but not the only part to it. There are also issues of fire safety. There's also the issues of accessibility by the fire service because they didn't have a high enough ladder. There's also issues of the information that was given to tenants and the effectiveness or otherwise of an alarm system.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, here are the problems with the building thus far. All the notices in the building told people that when there's a fire to stay indoors. The fire escape ladder was apparently too short, wouldn't let people up, and wouldn't let people escape. There was no sprinkler system installed into the building, and there was gas pipes that were left exposed all over the place, which everyone complained about, actually, at length, if you listen to the interviews. Why wasn't all of this addressed? Because the government doesn't give a fuck about you. That's why. I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again. As somebody who's in construction and has worked on government housing before, nobody gives a fuck. They give the contract to the lowest bidder, and the lowest bidder skips a lot of corners. And I know because we're also responsible for doing a lot of fire safety shit that we just didn't do because the builders told us not to do it. And this is in Toronto. Anyway, the rest of the interview, he just says that firefighters did a good job. The community came together. Apparently, he specifically mentioned that Muslims that were celebrating Ramadan were awake to help drag bodies out. Then blamed the government for not having enough money, or that borough for not having enough money to sustain it. Then they talked about the election. There's not much else to talk about. But, yeah, here you have it. Another politician telling you that you should give up your own personal property to help those that they burnt to the ground. That's something you're going to see a lot more of in the future. I will predict it day in and day out. So this is what happens when you have socialists and communists and Marxists come around. They're going to tell you that you should give up your own personal property to those who are less fortunate. And if you don't, then they will. They will just redistribute the wealth as they see fit. Because apparently now if you have money, you are evil. And you are bad. And it's your fault that people are burning alive. Not the people that are actually responsible. For maintaining fire hazard and safety rules, for providing government housing the way it should be provided for, not making people live in flammable slums. I guess that's it for me. Thank you, have a good night, and make sure you hide your money in a place where the government can't take it, because they're coming.